Welcome to this After Dark session of the Bros Show. Night cruise ship, baby.
Yeah, baby, yeah!
Talking about nutrient film.
Talking a little bit about
talking
fertigation,
about
water
fertigation.
retention, cocoa, fabric pots, and all the good stuff there. Gnats, fun stuff.
Diatomaceous earth with Kate.
Sand, can it pass chemical testing? Lots of stuff. Holy cow. Should have been recording a long time ago, I guess.
Cover a lot of ground in like 4 minutes. All right.
What are you smoking on, Scobo?
None of us remember.
I am smoking on some of the Moby Dick that I got from the Cannabis Cup when I got the clone from Cotton Gardner. So, good stuff.
Yeah. Okay, what are you smoking on?
I'm smoking some Black Wizard that I got from WeWoo.
It's funny, we've been sitting here.
Snacks and trying to find where last night's recording saved on my computer.
Go to Documents, Zoom, and then it'll be under a dated folder.
It's funny, we've been sitting here for like, I don't know, hours.
2 hours. Well,
2
up at the
hours.
top of the screen, it says an hour and 51 minutes and 12 seconds.
None of us have shared what we're even smoking with each other. I'm smoking on Apollo. I got a nice bag of trim and bottoms. Keep me lit. I hope I'm able to figure out how to make sure I save this too. Hopefully it doesn't get lost.
Well, did it save to your computer or save to the cloud?
I hit save to the computer.
Okay,
So
then it'll be under your Documents, Zoom as a folder under
all right.
Documents, and
Okay.
then inside of there it'll have date.
Yeah, I found where it is now. I just need to figure out how to send it.
So when we
what
end
you can
meeting,
do,
it'll do it on its own.
It'll save it to that, and then what you can do is you can take this file and upload it to your Google Drive, and then email a link to Abolished in Sequence, and then they can get it from there. That's what I do with my shit.
Dude, Skillable, all day I've been getting my dog to lay down.
Awesome.
But so just now she was like being annoying, and it took me like 4 times to tell her to lay down, so I just ignored her.
Mm-hmm.
Now she's laying down at my feet going.
So that's called negative punishment. You took away something that she wanted, which was your attention. So that taught her to try something else. So
Shit, I never word her when she was down there though.
Yeah, she's good.
How old is she, Kate?
She'll be 2 in January.
Prime. She's in her prime.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah. Are you gonna get so smart?
Old Dioge's going on 11.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had him for a little over 10 years now. He's a sidekick, man. Sure is.
For sure. He jump in the car?
Yes, he still jumps in the car. When I take him, I try to take him place as much as I can. He's a handful.
He's a handful.
He got into some trouble, man. He's got a record, so I gotta.
He bite somebody?
No, he bit another dog though, unfortunately. So they made me put him on restriction and.
You know,
he had some legal issues.
Unfortunate.
Yeah.
You know, I did dog training for years, so to me, like, I used to have people that would come to me and they'd be like, "Oh, this dog is a terrible fighter," blah 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 blah, and I'd say, "Okay, hold on, wait a minute. So you're telling me this dog gets into fights all the time, right?" They're like, "Yep, all the fucking time." I'm like, okay, so if he gets into, you say he gets into what, 5 fights a week? They're like, "Oh, at least 5 fights a week." I said, so out of those 5 fights in a week, how many of those other dogs that he fought with had to go to the vet to get stitched up or taken care of? Or was it just a lot of kerfluffle and noise? Because it's easier to fix dogs that don't do like mortal damage to other dogs. Then it becomes a management issue.
Now he had never done damage to another dog prior to this situation. And if this situation had occurred, I and nobody that could have been, none of my family or anybody that I know was around. So basically he got out. I was asleep. I used to work the night shift. This is back when I worked restaurants. So I was living in Westland with my parents at the time. And he had gotten out of the yard, and it was against like anybody's knowledge. I was sleeping in late, you know. It was like, I don't know, maybe noon or something like that. We let him in the house, and he was all beat up, just bleeding, right? Bleeding from his pads. And we couldn't figure out. I thought somebody tried to steal him. He's a blue pit bull.
Right.
He was this time less than a year old. So, and you know, the value on those dogs, he's blue, man. Yeah, I mean, he's only got a couple marks of white on him. Like, he's all gray. So, in the area, you know, you know, then they fight dogs in the Inkster Westland area. So I was a little bit worried about that. And like I said, you know, this is about a decade ago. And I'm really trying to reflect on this because it was a pretty wild story on how everything turned out. So about a week goes by, and this entire time I'm thinking that that he was trying to be like abducted, you know, stolen. All of a sudden we see somebody like taking pictures out in front of our house, like kind of doing some weird shit. And we were kind of just being pretty cautious at the time. And all of a sudden, animal control one day, a couple weeks later, shows up asking if we have a gray pit bull with a, you know, red collar and things like that. And, you know, he's standing there. He's just standing there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he tells me that he had gotten into an altercation like 3 blocks away with this poodle, you know, another big dog, got into a fight with a poodle and stuff, and that the owner had to pay a $700 vet bill. Now, I had never discussed, the owner never came in contact with us. Everything was handled through the police department and everything, animal control department, but I ended up paying the vet bill and everything. And they requested that I get him put on like a vicious animal list. And part of like Westland's ordinance with the vicious animal list meant that he had to, at all times outside of the house, had to be put on a muzzle. He also had to be on a 5-foot leash at all times. So unfortunately, since this incident has occurred, I haven't been able to like get him associated with other animals, because if he were to bite another animal, they'll put him down, and I get felony charges for neglect. So there's like this dual issue. So
it's a management now.
I keep him on a cable. The cable's not 5 feet long. I keep him on a cable, so he can't get out of the yard. And I make sure that I keep an eye on him. But he has been, you know, he's been my sidekick for 10 years, and it's something that I've managed responsibly. You know, when people come over the house, we put them away and things like that, just for, you know, safety. We've had like plenty of like good behavioral things where he gets really excited when strangers come over, and he'll like play.
That's
really
what pit bulls do. They get excited, they get happy,
and he gets really happy and stuff.
And they lick you, and they jump on you, and they wag their whole body.
You know, but
pit bulls aren't a problem.
But some people, if we don't know them, you know, and they're kind of strangers, we got to put them away, because well, you know, if he does nip them or something like that, there's a huge liability issue. Right. So we have to kind of watch it with him. So, but you know, he's great around the family, and he's great around all the people he's known all his life, and he's great with us. And I mean, he's a wonderful like guard dog. So unfortunately, we kind of had this legal issue with him a long time ago to kind of prevented us from getting him properly trained and socialized. But
he's got credibility in the neighborhood, though.
He's totally got street cred, man. Yeah, he's a good boy. It's a great dog. That's our dog segment.
Well, it's funny because you said your dog came home bloody and was all fucked up. Like, realize, how did that dog bite his feet?
Well, no, like it was like he was dragged. It was like he was dragged for like blocks, dude. It was really weird. Like dragged across concrete. He looked beat up, you know, like I don't know. Who knows how the owner of this dog reacted when this pit bull came tumbling over? Who knows how Dog was like? Maybe Dog was like interested in what was going on, and then all of a sudden this dude
more than likely what happened is that dog was outside in the front yard. Your dog went into that territory, which set the other dog off to try to rush your dog off. Your dog was like, "Hold up, bitch! Wait a minute."
Sure. And then this guy was in the middle trying to pull.
So then the dude comes out and kicks fucking fire out of your dog, and your dog basically goes back to the house and he follows.
Yeah. What was wild is this altercation happened like 2 or 3 blocks away from my house, and Dioji came in the house from the backyard. Like he went right back to laying in the backyard like he was when we put him out there like an hour prior. You know,
So weird.
so wild. Dogs are
Interesting.
very interesting animals, man. Yeah.
I think it's more complex than that.
More complex than that.
You know what I think happened? You want to hear what I think, man? First of all, to understand what happened to Killer, you gotta understand who Killer the dog was. Now, Killer was born to a 3-legged bitch of a mother. He was always ashamed of this, man. And then right after that, he's adopted by this man, Tito Leibowitz. He's a small-time gun runner and Rottweiler fight promoter. So he puts Killer into training. Next thing you know, Killer's good. He is damn good. But then, he had the fight of his life. He pitted him against his brother Nibbles. And Killer said, no, man, that's my brother. I can't fight Nibbles. And he made him fight anyway. And Killer killed Nibbles. And Killer said, that's it. He called up all his fights, and he started doing crack, and he freaked out. And then in a rage, he collapsed. And his heart no longer beat. Wow.
You know, I never thought I'd say this to anybody, but you two smoke entirely too much reefer.
And there's like there's forest and woods and all kinds of shit like down there in that area, you know. Real crazy, man.
Dude, when I was down in Kentucky in those hemp fields, I was out one day and my dog was like with me on a leash, but there was like another dog with us and she was staying right by him and he was like super good. So I kept like, I would like give her a little bit more leashing and then I like started letting it go and she was like staying by, but then eventually we're like walking on these like 60-acre hemp fields, you know what I mean? Like eventually I just stopped paying attention because she would like go a little bit further and a little bit further. Eventually I lost sight of her and like as tall as she is, as tall as she is, you know, I'm talking about you. I couldn't see her in these hemp fields, right? So then I was like, oh shit. So we looked for her for like an hour.
Oh
like,
my God.
Driving around through like the combine tracks and shit. I'm like standing in the bed of this truck, like looking for her, but like I don't see a shit. So eventually, like the dude was like, "We have to go do other stuff at other places,
Right.
but we'll come back." And I'm like, "Well, like my number is on her collar, I guess." You know what I mean? Like we like went and checked like all these farms close by that had dogs because he's like, dogs find dogs. You know what I mean?
Yep.
We leave and we come back like 4 hours later, right? After we do whatever other shit he had to go do. And when we get back, she's like laying in the exact spot where the truck had been parked, like panting. You know what I mean?
knew.
Like, yeah, she was like
Oh,
done
fuck.
with her little adventure. Was like Mom, come
Don't leave me in
pick me up.
fucking Kentucky, lady.
Yeah, right. It was funny too because we had driven around to all these like it was so hot. So we drove around to all the places where like there would be water. You know what I mean? Because we're like, she's probably going to find a drink. Like it's hot out.
Yeah.
And her dumbass was just laying where the car was. That was good, wasn't it? Yeah, we found you. We found you.
And that's one of my fears, the dog just taking off into the woods. Just go for like a mile, you know? You have no
Yeah,
idea where they go.
I never let mine out without going out with them back.
Dogs are great. Such great companions, man. I love them. I'm definitely a dog person. It's funny. A lot of the people in this group, I'm pretty sure we all have dog. Some of us probably have cats.
I think, yeah, I do.
You got cats too?
Yeah, I have, my daughter has one, and then I have one that I rescued from outside. She has like half an ear. So like, you know, when they have a feral and they catch and release, I think that's what she was. She's cool as fuck.
That's cool.
Her name is Bougie.
That's cool. And with the 2 dogs, well, I don't know how many dogs in it. And I got a couple dogs, but
I got 3.
oh, it's 3. There you go.
I got, my dog is a giant schnauzer, big black, like 100-pound dog. And then my wife has a miniature schnauzer.
See, dude,
my
so you
daughter
must
has
spend a lot of money on pet food.
Yeah.
take some of those cannabis leaves and supplement some of that pet food. Start feeding them a couple
You know, I
cannabis
let
leaves here and there.
my dogs love chewing on the branches and sticks.
There you go.
Like whenever I harvest, they like want them.
Yeah. Yeah, give
Kid
it
is
to them
over there
fresh
taking
too
them
so they can
throwing
digest
them.
them.
Yeah. I used to have
Them
a
good
cat
and
that would
fresh.
eat them.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, my cat always tries to eat the leaves and shit. She's always trying to get in there and like fucking
I figure
gets
there's
in there
good
and
stuff
looks
in
at
there
my
for them to
plants
have
like I
fun.
do.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
let them chew them up.
Yeah, but my dog won't eat the leaves, but she'll eat like the stems. She'll chew on the stems and stuff. She
Yep.
likes those.
He knows better. He'll wait for me to pluck them. He won't eat them off the
No.
plant because I've, yelled at him and, I've
He's a gentleman like
no-no'd
that.
him. Yeah, he'll walk up to it and kind of like nose it and like ask me for it, So I'll give it to him sometime. He loves it, man.
Say manners, DOG. What are we
Absolutely.
but beasts no more if we have no manners?
It's good for him. There's some great CBG. Give him all that CBG and so CBD and pets. I don't want to say I was a skeptic. I'm wholeheartedly believing that cannabis is great for all animals. Just for whatever reason, I think it's good for us. So, I started with a CBD. Now this is CBD from one of our medical and recreational facilities here in Michigan. So Bloom, and the CBD vial itself had metric testing results on it. So actually, unlike the Synergy that I have also gotten from Bloom that claims 1,000 milligrams, does not have any testing, like lab testing, and maybe on a website. I don't want to quote myself. I don't want to quote that wrong or anything, but it might be on a website somewhere, but it's just not on the bottle. So anyway, the lab testing is on the pet safe CBD stuff that I got from Bloom. And so I've been giving DOG like 50 milliliters or something like that once a day with his food in the evening, because if I give it to him during the day, he kind of tends to nap all day, which might be good if you have a situation where you got people coming over or something like that. Maybe that's a good thing. But I give it to him at night, right? 11-year-old dog. He's had some hip issues, some bone issues, things like that, limping around and things. To where he's not as active as he used to be when he was younger. And I'll tell you what, man, the last couple of weeks, he's been an active dog. He's been back up to that, like what you were talking about, that 100, they get up and they start with that 100% energy and it's like a battery. He's back to that like he was, when he was 5-6 years old.
Hell yeah.
I'm blown away, man. Like the proof is almost in the pudding, man. Like CBD is like,
just realize that you grow your own CBD plants and that you can make your own dog treats. You don't have to go bankrupt, because that's one of my things right now is my parents use them for their dogs. And it's like $60 for a, not quite 30-day supply. Like it's, especially, they're old, they're retired, they on a fixed income and stuff. Damn, wish I could just help them out, because there's not that much in those.
No,
it's not like the dog is on like 100 milligrams a day of, like hardcore. Kate, I have a dispensary question.
Well, I can probably make you some CBD dog treats, Gilbo.
Oh, that would be sweet.
Yeah, sure. I isolate and stuff, so it's something that I've been wanting to do. Now I have a reason to. Good.
So I went to dispensaries on 8 Mile. This has been a couple months ago, the last time I was down there. And I was looking at flower, and they had a Tahoe CBD, and it was like 13% CBD, with the 0.3 on the THC. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, I wonder how they're actually doing this. Like, where are dispensaries getting all of this CBD from?
The flower?
Yeah. Is there like people that are growing it out there and putting it in the shops now like that? Or is there, is this a Kentucky thing where there's just fields of hemp and they're calling it this or that or the other?
I was just going to say, if I had to guess, I would say that that's probably all outdoor hemp. Because it's my understanding that at a dispensary as a grower, you can get about $250 an ounce for CBD flower. Or I'm sorry, not an ounce, a pound, $250 a pound from the dispensary, whereas flower, like THC flower, you can get 2 to 4 grand a pound, you know what I mean?
Right.
So that would, like, logic would then tell us that nobody's growing that CBD flower indoors.
Yeah.
So, like,
They're still charging a fucking arm and a leg for it.
yeah, exactly. Well, I'm not saying that outdoor flower is bad, you know what I mean? But
Right.
it's just different, and I think that's something that you should know if you're buying it.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ray.
I think you know, there might be one or two. I know that they're starting to shut them down, but like there's still a couple of shops out there that don't have like maybe even MMFLA licensing, aside from even like the full on legalization licensing. Was it MRTMA? There it is, licensing. I think some of those shops might be like the ones that are working exclusively, probably still backpacks type sales with caregivers. Maybe if a couple of them are still there, probably getting their stuff from Colorado and Oregon is my guess. And there's a couple like head shops, but head shops to, you know, if you find like CBD flower and some like beauty supply shops, you can find the stuff at freaking gas stations, man. You can find it everywhere. Dude, I guarantee that 80-90% of that stuff's probably not from in-state. I'd imagine most of our in-state hemp field people, they're probably selling to real MMFLA processors, MRTMA processors, getting it in the real dispensaries. Now, don't quote me on this again. I'm pretty sure that like some of the stuff that's still lingering around at some of the dispensaries, CBD wise, is most likely from out of state. Like if it was in, you know, if it's backlogged like from the summer or earlier, which I'd imagine there's still some supply sitting there. Who knows? Maybe even the Synergy bottle that I got could potentially be from out of state vendor. So there, like I said, it didn't have any metric label. It didn't have a metric label on it. So that's my guess.
Well, I think that if you follow any of the pages that are like the Got Clean Meds style, like I know like the smoking lamp and stuff, you can clearly see that you can go into like even licensed shops right now and purchase things that are not as they are labeled. So there are problems with the metric testing, you know what I mean? So there's nothing really to say what is on the shelf is what it really is. It could be, it smelled like a tangy, so that's what we're calling it as a label, and the bud tender doesn't have any idea that that's not the case, you know what I mean? Because they're not told that, or maybe they are and they don't care, you know what I mean? But that's not uncommon in the industry to mislabel things, or to like, yeah, that's what it is, to mislabel things, quite frankly, or to,
that sucks.
Yeah, and
I mean, as the patient, it sucks for me because let's say that I'm trying to do my due diligence. So I've used weed maps, or I've used Leafly, or any of the other information online. And I say, okay, I know what's wrong with me. So I need to find somebody that's selling this as flower so I can try to get well. So I do my search and I find out that this dispo over here has blueberry headband. Sweet, man, this is awesome. I'm gonna go in there and I buy it and I bring it home and it doesn't really work for me. So now I'm like, well, fuck, if I just got into this medical game, I might be like, man, this leaves a bad taste in my mouth. And I really just wanted to find some relief. And instead, what I found is that I got hoodwinked.
No, to the no, 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 no. Hell, no, no. To the no, no. Hell, to the no, no. To the no, 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 no. Hell, to the no, no. To the no.
You know, that's not cool. It's not a cool way to do business.
The only reason I brought up metric testing, the only reason I brought up metric testing was just because like that kind of ensures that something was kind of grown in the state of Michigan. Like labeling or naming it, I wasn't really trying to like. Now, obviously, look, there's some like we need to get better at what's actually being called what, because I agree with that. Like that's kind of a different subject that I was kind of talking about.
All right, now what were you going to say, Kate?
Oh, well, there's like the thing with carts. Like people will be like, I want a sativa cart. Like, okay, if it's made out of distillate, that's not a thing. I mean, that's not
That's not a thing.
That's not how distillate extraction works.
So how does distillate extraction work for some of us?
In distillate extraction, you're extracting just THCA, which is the like psychedelic high part, but it's not the terpene part. So it's not indica terpenes or sativa terpenes, if those are even different things truly, you know what I mean? But you're not getting any of the entourage effects of cannabis. You're just getting the high part.
The one
THC
thing.
part. Yes, the one thing. So that's why lots of times you'll like smoke carts and you just get like a really flat high, or like a really like, I'll call it like a stale high. You know what I mean? Like it's just like a
Yes.
staticky whatever. That's why you don't smoke just straight THCA diamonds, because you get that same, you're like, well, I'm high, but I don't like it. You know what I mean? That's why you add terpenes back. Like that's why you have diamonds in sauce.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So yeah, and I think it's really misleading to label a cart that's straight distillate and a fucking flavoring as an indica or sativa, because it won't give you those same effects as smoking that flower will.
So how do you feel about the terpenes that you can buy that are called things like gray vape terpene? You know, it's cannabis derived terpenes.
They're garbage. But at the same time, I vape nicotine, so I'll smoke them in that. But like, in my opinion,
there seems to be a big market in this. You know what I mean? They're like, I've looked at websites and, you know, you can see sour diesel and train wreck and everything else. And it's not that this is derived from that. It's that they've tried to come up with, kind of think of it like knockoff perfume and cologne.
Yeah, well, and that's my thing. Like, there's a place for all of this, all the things that you can make out of cannabis. There's like a very good purpose that they have, but like the purpose of distillate is not to get put into a cart with like bubblegum flavored oil. You know what I mean? The purpose of distillate is like edibles. You know, so then you can make carts. If you want to smoke carts, you can make super delicious carts. Like, go to Dogman Troop's page and look at his rosin carts. Like, delicious. It's like,
I've never had a rosin cart. I
hated carts to the point where I was like, ugh. And I've had two. I've tasted two that were really good. I had like a V-Fire style one from Green Thumb for President, and that was fucking delicious. And it tasted exactly like doing a dab. Like, it was like as much of an inhale and exhale, you know what I mean? So like, I was insanely impressed by that. And then Dogman's, it's the same thing. It's like doing a dab, but it tastes like weed, you know what I mean? And I think a lot of it too is like, because you can do other stuff with the like icky parts of weed, you know what I mean? Like, you make rubs, you can make
topicals,
It puts the lotion on. You have no idea what kind of hell I can bring you!
Oh, all right, enough, you broken record, okay. I've been down here 2 weeks, man, what do you want?
It puts the lotion on its skin. Now!
Well, say it, don't spray it, brother, dang. I need a towel now.
Does what it's told!
There, look, I'm putting the lotion on the skin. I'm rubbing it in. Hey, to tell you the truth, brother, between you and me, that thing with the dog is coming off a little fruity. That's just me talking, I don't.
A lot of times you just use
like
those topicals.
all sorts of shit. So you don't need to like
disguise it
out the good stuff. You know what I mean? Like, you can make the gross products with good things. So those things shouldn't ever be gross products. You know what I mean? Like, you should never be smoking a $15 cart.
Yeah. No. Oh, yeah.
I've only had rosin one time, let alone a rosin cart. So
I have yet to have rosin.
You've yet to have rosin.
I think that you should freeze dry some of your hash red, and then we should press it.
You should totally do that. Do the Death Star, my friend.
Yeah.
Or the Apollo.
Yeah, I'm taking some Death Star to veg, like tomorrow, hopefully. And then hopefully, 80, 90 days from now, maybe 3 months, we'll have some fresh Death Star. That'd be a wonderful one to, I'd really like, I'm going to try sifting it first to see if we can get some purple, dry sift off of this Girls Gone Wild. My old trim bin,
I think that's the clone that I want.
That Girls Gone Wild? Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
No doubt,
I think
man.
that's the one because that
I'd be happy to share it with you.
that's the spicy peppery one, right?
Yes.
And,
yeah.
And oof,
It's got a little spicy, peppery. It's kind of like,
yeah.
you know, it's a forum cut Girl Scout cookies mother. So
Mhm.
you're going to get that. The father's called DJ Flash, which was like Riot Berry, just a bunch of like Riot Seed stuff. So like,
Okay.
you know, even though Girls Gone Wild was by Cosa Farms, I'm not sure if they had a collaboration possibly going, or if Cosa might have used Riot OG's gear for the mail or something like that. You know, again, don't quote me on any of this stuff. I'm just a grower. I don't.
It always looks nice when I see pictures of it.
But dude, I mean, I got one hell of a purple phenotype, dude. I think Girl Scout cookies has that. You know, now I think
Don't know
about
where
it.
it comes
We ran
from,
this
but you're
one
glad.
Bloodberry, dude, and Bloodberry was hella purple too. It was like it was more on the pink purple. Fuchsia.
Who made that?
That was Riot Seeds. That was awesome. So that had like that Riot Berry OG in it, dude. So that purple might actually be coming off of that. Now that I think about the male side of what's going on, it might not be the forum. It might be the Riot Berry coming out of that DJ Flash. So do some awesome purple stuff with that old throwback stuff. So these Bloodberries. Now I stopped running it last year, but prior to that, it was like a nice, like I said, fuchsia, almost sativa like plant, man. This thing would get huge. And long time ago, they got one good Instagram post before I stopped running this plant. So it's back a little bit ways, but it's just this, you know, 20-ounce soda bottle.
Oh God.
Size,
Huge.
you know, cola, dude. Yeah, and they're filling up like 4 to a hanger. You know, they're really nice, giant fucking colas, dude. And just stuff.
Holy shit.
But it was really foxtailed and airy too, you know. So
How is your blueberry? Is your blueberry really dense or is it really loose?
it's loose. So the nugs themselves are dense, but they're spaced loose, if you will.
Yes.
But the plant's short and squat like an indica. So it's like this. It's like a prodigy plant, dude. It's really crazy how it grows. I like his stuff is a little more, if you want to call it like closer to like what you might consider like our land racy stuff. But like I think it might be that Thai or
I've just my
or
favorite.
something.
You know, people talk about that their favorite thing is like fruit and stuff. You know, obviously blueberry is a fruit, but I think of blue as like its own flavor, and I have yet to smoke anything that blue is mixed with that isn't medicine for me. So to me, I've always known that peppery spicy and blueberry are two things that are consistent money medicine. If I can only find those two flavors, I can always get right.
Yeah, dude.
And
Blueberry is not a big yielder, but it's
Yeah.
medicine. Good medicine.
Exactly. And it doesn't take as much. Ooh, what's that?
So this is, I don't even know how good it'll show up, how pink it is, but it's called Tuscadero and it's by Scapegoat.
That's so
And
funny.
so I saw that picture the other day and I was like, whatever that is, I need to grow it. So I like
Messaging.
can read the comments and I was like, holy shit, I have those seeds.
I have that much.
Yeah, I think those might be the next ones I have.
Do you know
Another picture.
do you know who Tuscadero is? That's pink, right?
Yeah,
Do you know why it's called Tuscadero?
I do not.
Okay, does
Pinky
anybody?
Tuscadero.
Yes, it's Pinky
Okay, dude.
Tuscadero. You know what it was. Rhett,
Yeah,
you're
man.
always getting my shit, man. Like, you
Educate
always
me.
get it. He does. I make weird jokes and Red gets them.
Explain what that is.
I get the
though.
weird joke.
Pinky Tuscadero is a character from Happy Days. Do you remember Fonzie and the
Hey.
Cunninghams and shit? Okay, so Pinky Tuscadero was like, she wears all pink leather and she's like, she rides a motorcycle and shit. She's like Fonzie's girl. She's super cool like Fonzie. So that's why it's called Tuscadero. It's pink. So
Dude,
that's a cool.
Please rise. Now sit on it. The Fonz be with you. And also with you. Let us
dude,
That's a cool name.
Hey man,
The next
remember when
time I see
Fonzie
him,
jumped his
I'm gonna
motorcycle in the
have to
parking
feel
lot?
What's that kid? Yes, I do.
Sorry.
What?
oh, I just said next time I see him, I'm gonna have to be like, "Hey."
Yeah,
about it.
exactly. Do that.
So
I mean,
now
hold
I'll
on.
get the reference.
You should. Can I share screen? Okay, it will let me. Hold on. Let me bring up a fucking Pinky Tuscadero thing for you, just so you can get a
That's
good little
great.
laugh here. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum.
Kate, I was going to ask you something about what you were just talking about, and I totally spaced out and forgot what the heck it was. And I think it was about something you shared earlier, too.
About the Tuscanero? Oh.
The
Okay, so
Tuscanero totally threw me off, though.
Here's a good Happy Days fact. There's like an industry term in television for when a show like goes too far that's from Happy Days. And it's called
Jumping the Shark. Yeah.
Yeah.
From Fonzie.
Yeah. Because that was the episode when people were like, you know what, Happy Days kind of sucks now.
I didn't know that. That's pretty cool.
I used to watch Lost. I don't know if anybody else ever watched that. And
dude.
I want this.
Okay.
That's one I wanted to binge on.
I will only binge watch shows now.
Right.
Because I binge watched that and I got through it in like a week and a half, like an embarrassing amount of time. Dude, if I have those seeds and I get one, a pheno that's like day glow pink like that, I'm gonna dress up like that and take pictures with my
You totally have
to. That's
totally have to.
Oh, it was about what you were showing on the phone, the scapegoat stuff. You said he was Michigan, right? Michigan breeder?
Yeah.
Right on.
What's his story?
I don't really know. I met him through Gooey Man.
Is he one of those like hard dudes, or is he like a chill dude?
He's super cool. He's like real old school, like
secretive.
He's like a private guy. Yeah. So like he's got goats. He's super nice. His wife is super nice. They're very like they do it because they love the plant and the medicine. So like they make a super good rub that has like magnesium in it, I think.
Yeah, magnesium sulfates. It helps with the cramps and shit.
Yeah, so like that is one of the first cannabis rubs that I ever used that like helped me. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, this shit's like amazing. What was yours, Gilbo?
I did that too, but I stopped putting it in all of them because it can lead to itchy, dry skin if you have too much magnesium sulfate. Like, you know how you make that shit, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the most simplistic thing in the world. You go to like one of your funny health food stores and shit, and they'll have it. You can buy like a big 2-pound container of it for like $25. But then all you do is you get a sauce pot with water in it, and you take like a tablespoon of it and you put it in the water when it's boiling, and you stir it up. Then you let it cool to room temperature, and you bottle it, and then that's it. You're done. That's how hard that is to make. So that $27 will last you a fucking eternity. I have never had to buy another one.
Interesting. Dude, that's one of the things. Oh, go ahead, Red.
No, I was gonna say I got I guess in case anybody's using it for hydroponics, I was able to find like a 50-pound bag for like $50 or something like that at the hydro shop.
Of what?
Magnesium sulfate.
Really?
Yeah. Because we're talking Epsom salt, right?
No, it's not Epsom salt. This is maybe it's not magnesium sulfate. Maybe it's called something else. It's not Epsom salt. It looks like flat flakes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, that was probably at me.
But
if you deal with cramps, do you deal with cramps like cramping in your foot and legs and shit? I'm gonna save your life right here. The next time you go to a restaurant or get takeout, ask for extra mustard packets. And the reason is if you have cramps, like I know this sounds really stupid and grandmotherly, keep a packet of fucking mustard in your purse. Keep a packet of mustard at your bedside table. Because if you wake up in the middle of the night and you can't literally fucking move, if you open that up and like put some in your mouth, it will stop within like 5 seconds. Your cramps will stop.
Interesting.
I know it's one of those things you have to literally have happen and then remember the stupid shit, and it really will work.
Does it work if you eat it on a hot pretzel?
Yes. It doesn't matter how you take it in. It's the way it's something in it. See, you got to come. See,
you talking about any kind of just deli mustard?
Yep, yellow
mustard.
Just
good old deli mustard. Just good old yellow mustard. Doesn't have to be a spicy brown.
No, use it for cramps.
Doesn't have to be a spicy brown.
No, but
I'm just making sure because
stuff, the Gould's,
maybe like the spice does something.
Brown.
Yeah. Grey Poupon.
No.
Pardon me, would you have any Grey Poupon?
But of course. Grey Poupon, one of life's finer pleasures.
You would love the real Oktoberfest because you get the pretzels over there. They're like super hot. They're really fucking ridiculously big. And then they have this big cauldron of fucking mustard, man. And they've got like the wooden paint stirring sticks that you like literally fucking slather on there. Yeah, it's good times.
Dude, there's a place down like right on the Indiana-Michigan border. I can't remember what it's called right now, but there's like but so there's like a little Amish town there.
That's fucking sequence town down there.
Right. Cold water folk.
Back to the Shipshawana conversation.
I hope those motherfuckers are watching this.
Make pretzels and they're so fucking good. And then there's like a restaurant where they serve everything like restaurant style. So you like might sit with strangers and have to like pass plates with them, which I'm not super cool with, but their food is so good that you don't really care. You know what I mean? Like it's like here's like a whole fucking chicken. Have it, you know? Yeah. And then like corn and mashed potatoes and shit, but like mashed potatoes that some like big Amish lady like fucking mushed up in the back like by hand, you know what I mean? And like the chicken they like plucked themselves,
choked it to death before they threw it in the fryer.
Right. Yeah, so like it was super good food. I would go back. Everyone, once in a while when I can't sleep and it's super late at night, I like look up how far of a drive it is. Like maybe I'll go soon.
You totally have to, man.
But I don't mind driving a while for good food. You know what I mean? It's like that's like a fun thing to do. You know, you drive like 2 hours to like go fucking look at fish that are like stuck in an aquarium. You know, drive 2 hours to feed yourself. That's fine.
Good times.
Yeah, man. Why not? That's great. Who says dab time?
Are we doing a dab?
I was going to put some hash in a bowl.
Okay. I was going to roll a joint, but I'll do a dab.
I'll use my little tiny crack pipe.
Oh, it's not that your fucking straw is larger. Let's see.
2 hours later.
Yeah.
I guess I could just say hash time instead of dab time because we're all pretty much hash smokers. And Kate, you do you smoke hash ever? Or you just do dabs?
I do sometimes, but I don't get hash a lot because nobody makes it like yours.
Correct.
Style, you know.
Oh, okay.
So I have enjoyed having yours. Like I like rash.
That's good to know.
Yeah, it's cool because it's like one of the dudes I used to do BHO with was like super old school, and I actually have been like, I'm gonna save part of it for like the next time I see Dave because he's gonna lose fucking shit. You know what I mean? Because it's like stuff. He'll be like, I haven't seen hash like that in 30 years.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It's what I said to. I'm like,
I'm excited.
But you're talking about rationing things. I can catch shit for this. I got this so long ago, but I save it. Shout out to for growing.
Dude, I've still yet to try any of that good stuff, man.
Oh my god,
just don't
the
get out
slime and
enough.
grapefruit. Oh, he did a wonderful job.
I really don't get out enough. I need to get to some of these sessions or in some of these places and maybe another High Times Cup where I'm not like
I'm not really sure how these events are going to go next year now that there's recreational too.
I've helped DJ and stuff like that at High Times Cups, but I haven't actually been there as like an attendee. I've still got to actually like just wander around and check out everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
I'm usually doing stuff.
Dab time.
Dabbity dab time. Hash jar. This hash jar is getting empty. I'm gonna have to run some more.
On the next live show, I'm just gonna take the timer off my press and put it on here for like every 15 minutes for dab time.
There you go. That's a good way to space it out. That's a solid like 8 dabs a show. Not
Right.
bad.
I like though, like, okay, so you know when you drink too much and then the next day you feel like shit and you're like, I don't know, drink again for like ever. When I like overconsume weed, the next day when I wake up, I like feel phenomenal. You know what I mean? So like I like having nights where I like smoke myself to sleep.
It's the easy way to sleep for sure.
I agree with that. I feel like shit for like 3 days now that I'm in my like almost mid-30s. But if I drink too much, man, I'm like if I really drink, which I rarely do, so if I really drink, I'm done for like 2 or 3 days. It almost gives me like the flu or some shit.
You
Yeah,
like poisoned
dude.
yourself.
Yeah.
That's what it is. I didn't drink though for like, I don't know, 3 years straight probably, like with my kids, you know, like between being pregnant and then like breastfeeding and shit. Actually probably longer than that, like 4 years. And then like it's like, you know how when you have an allergy, holy shit, I just realized this, how like every time you have it, your reaction gets worse. You know what I mean? Like when you're like allergic to like peanut butter and shit, like every time you have anaphylaxis, it's like worse. That's like how alcohol has been for me. Like every time I've drank it since starting again, it's like had a worse reaction for me to the point now where it's like, yeah, like I feel like I fucking poisoned myself. So I just don't drink. Like every once in a while I'll have like a half a glass of wine with like Sprite in it. But then I'm like, this is stupid. You know what I mean? Like,
Lean.
yeah, it's like an expensive, shitty tasting drink.
Yeah, a lot of it is like sugar and stuff for me too, because usually when I'm drinking, I'm mixing it with something. Usually not pop or anything like that. You know, I try to drink. I don't know. Don't really try to drink, but usually when I drink, sometimes it'll just be straight with water because if I'm mixing, man, I'll get a hangover and shit, like cranberry juice or something like that. It messes with me. I don't eat a lot of sugar and stuff like that either. But yeah, man, people compare cannabis to alcohol or like like wine and stuff. I can see maybe like the way it's grown because we do like the Appalachia and things like that to get a nice fruiting body and get a nice, the same way they do for grapes and stuff like that. But when you break it down to like molecular structure and what cannabis does to your body and what alcohol does to your body, like wine has antioxidants and things like that, which are good for you. But the alcohol portion of wine is like the opposite. It almost cancels itself out. Maybe it helps for like a blood thinner or something like that. But, people can have a tendency to be all right with a little wine, a little bit of beer and stuff like that. But when you talk about what alcohol actually is, I mean, it's used for like sterilizing lab equipment. It's used for, we use it for extracting cannabis into an oil and things like that. I mean, it can be consumed, but, more of like what you said, it's a poison. You're just poisoning yourself for the next 3 days. I don't think it's a good comparison at all.
No.
When you talk about like the effects, if you have 3 shots of vodka, to somebody who's like new to vodka, you're done for the night. You might get sick. You 3 hits off of a joint, you're gonna put it out, and you're probably not gonna smoke much more, but you're gonna be all right. You're not gonna get sick.
I like it when I find strains that as heavy as a smoker as I am, that I only need like half of it, and then I pass out in the chair. Like that's what I like. And it's not just to be thrifty. It's just like, wow, this is really fucking potent medicine.
And you could probably do that with whiskey and something like that also. But I think that you're getting a little bit more of a benefit when you're doing it with cannabis because it's helping your body out in a lot of different ways. And maybe some people would say, well, you're smoking, you're hurting. You're like, well, like I did tonight, I had a little bit of coconut oil to my tea, a little bit of that 1-to-1, put it in. I feel good, I might feel like I had maybe a shot of whiskey or something like that as far as the body buzz type of thing kind of goes. But my body's going to feel great tomorrow, maybe a little bit better than if I had some whiskey. It's as good as whiskey is, and that sounds.
I think everyone's body is different for this. The way that you process things may not be the same way as someone else. It affects people differently. But
You're right about that.
Again,
man.
people are medicating with that. Just like, you know, you come home after a long day at work, what do? You and I might grab a bowl. Somebody else might grab a beer. You know, you're just trying to like, okay, man. So it's try to be empathetic to realizing that everybody's dealing with something.
Oh yeah, yeah. In no way am I like downgrading anybody that has a beer to relax or a glass of wine to relax, because I do it too. You know, I definitely socially drink and stuff like that. You know, I'm definitely talking about some people
you're
who
talking
might
about going at it like hammer and tongs,
like
I'm
the comparison.
To get fucked up today.
Like yeah, like more like the comparison between the two, like directly. Like if somebody like relates like cannabis laws to alcohol laws and things like that. Maybe for inebriation is one thing. Like they're like it's similar, right? Maybe to like somebody who's a first time smoker, like you get really high off certain strains, right? You might not be able to drive a car. Alcohol, same deal, right? You take a couple drinks, you can't drive a car, something like that. Your motor skills, motor function, things like that are really affected, you know. But once tolerance kicks in, they're both equally the same. But with alcohol, you start to poison your body further, you know. With that tolerance comes, I guess, a heavier usage, which can lead to things like, you know,
well, all three of us went to college. All three of us graduated, so we've all seen enough shit with young people and fucking that crazy shit they get up to with alcohol.
Yeah, so. and by no way am I like dogging alcohol or anything, but a lot of people compare cannabis and alcohol together. Yeah. So, you know, I think it's a silly comparison. I think that there's like more education that just needs to be done about cannabis before you. It's more like oranges to apples and not really apples to apples.
Yeah. Well, I think too that there's like a medical side of cannabis and a recreational side of cannabis, and you can use cannabis as a intoxicant or whatever, or like an inebriant.
Like you're like smoking distillate or something, right?
Exactly. Like that's what I said earlier. Like the purpose of distillate is edibles. Like those are the nerd rope sugared up gummy things.
And you're still not getting terpenes, even if you put it in your
medical product. You know, that's like you want to get fucked up, and that's fine. It's a perfectly good use for it. It's better than alcohol. You know what I mean? But I think that people need to recognize that there's like different levels in my mind, at least.
Well, yeah,
and that recreational aspect is totally cool too, because like Skibble said, you know, work's rough. You know, you're getting yelled at all day from your boss or something like that. You want to come home and unwind, you know, have a beer, you know, smoke some recreational, maybe potent cannabis or something like that, and unwind. You know what I mean? That's totally cool. You know,
or even like fuck it, you wanna enjoy your family holiday, or you wanna like have a good afternoon mowing the lawn, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
I am always the guy that is riding around in the John Deere. Yep.
Yeah, like
I got the John Deere in the joint, man.
See, now, hey, when I cut grass, I enjoy drinking beer. That's I drink a couple beers, when I got to ride around on the tractor, dude. I got a couple acres to cut. I'm gonna drink a couple beers, and that's one of the few times.
Put some earbuds in, man, and fucking jam out.
Yep, it's one of the few times I drink is when I gotta cut grass. I enjoy that. Socially, I mean, if you invite me out for a beer, you know, I'll go out.
Chillum time, Red.
Chillum time is a good
something to do while I cut the grass to make me think that I'm having a good time.
You're not having a good time.
Dude, I got a weed whacker this year, and I was like so proud of myself because I got it, and then my dad's like, you know how to fucking start a 2-stroke engine? And I was like, don't even know what a 2-stroke engine is, Pop. Like, I got no idea. And there's like 18 steps to start this fucking thing. But I figured
I
out how
hate
to
those
use
fucking
it.
things.
So I was
I do
like,
too, man.
oh my God, this is gonna make me make my yard so nice. Like, nope, I fucking hate it. I hate having to use it, but it does, like, it works good. So I do use it, but like,
It's not a joy.
personally, no.
It's like cleaning the
It's gonna
gutters.
transform my
Yeah.
ideas about lawn care. No.
I get down on my hands and knees and I pull the weeds along my fence line, around my rocks and everything because
Oh, that's extensive.
it's a little more extensive. Fortunately, I'm young enough and I have the back for it, so I'm just kind of dealing with it right now while I can. Because I have some yard tools and things like that I can use. I'm like, I'm going to save these for when I, maybe I'm hurting too much on a day that I'm unable to do it. For right now, I'll just kind of save the running the gas, save me from having to run to the store, and save the hassle of dealing with those strings all the time and the pull start and all that stuff. And to be honest with you, man, dude,
so
yeah, it can be a
frustrating.
nightmare. So and I'll get out there around the same time that my neighbors will get out there and start doing their stuff. I'll start pulling my weeds, and I'll get done, easily I'll still hear them out there all day. They're out there all day long doing their thing. And I'm out there, I do it real quick with my hands and get it all done.
But those dudes are trying to stay out of the house for a while. They're not trying to run back up in the house.
I'll be out of the house all day too. Yeah.
Okay, but before I got the weed whacker, I would crawl along a bunch of the edges and cut it with scissors. And I was like, definitely sick of doing that shit.
Oh,
the
the
neighbors
scissors
were,
will take
you
you
could
all
hear
day
the neighbors
too.
laughing all the time when you do it.
Yeah, totally.
Well,
Like, look at
so
this crazy
totally.
lady.
Me and my neighbors on both sides have like an unspoken pact that we just don't give a fuck about our yards, really. And like all the other houses in my neighborhood have super nice lawns, so I'm sure that they like hate us. But like,
You guys have made a pact.
I mow my yard before the ordinance officer tells me I have to,
Yeah.
and that's about it.
I hate when I have to do that sometimes, man. It ends up actually it's not bad. Sometimes I like growing it out because then I'll rake it all up and I'll throw it in my garden. Now that I actually have a good garden to do it with, I'll do that. I let it grow a little longer. When I was working a lot, I was never cutting the grass. It would take me 3 hours to cut my grass. It normally takes me about 45 minutes now because it would get so long. Shit was crazy. And I just gave it all to the city. I bagged it all up, gave it all to the city, man.
Dude, I'm gonna start a compost pile now because my dog dug up a bunch of these like hostas that were there, but I was like fine with it because I hate hostas because I think they're fucking hideous. So now I'm gonna start a huge compost pile there before I thatch my lawn or whatever the fuck it's called. Because at the moment I don't ever rake up my clippings. Just mow that shit into the pile that's already there.
Mulch it in, man.
Yeah, except it doesn't. It's starting to get like a thick layer. And then there's a spot where there used to be a tree that gets these like huge ass mushrooms.
Not the good
that,
kind.
like, that if it's super dry, they'll get woody and then it fucking like hurts my lawnmower blade. So Red, if you know good tips on composting, send them my way.
I compost like just about everything with everything. The way I look at it, it's all going to break down eventually. And a lot of the tips that you get are like the ratios of nitrogen to
brown to green,
right? That's so that you get like your like whatever 2-week or 30-day compost. But if you got a spot in your yard that you just can pile stuff in, just pile stuff in that spot. Over time, just turn it every now and then. If you don't have a time schedule, do that. That's the best thing.
Keep it covered with a tarp and
I really don't do any of no, I don't do none of that stuff, man. I let grass grow in it eventually and all kinds of stuff. You can always get in there and pull stuff out. You can always get in there and turn it if you want to. But now, if you want something where you want to do like food scraps and like worms and shit like that, do that in like a separate tub or something, maybe next to it or wherever. And then you could also have like your 30-day compost and like a barrel style or like a turning style. I mean, you can do all kinds of stuff. But I have like probably 3. Oh man, I'm starting to spill hash on myself. That's like the worst thing ever. You're gonna catch yourself on fire. So I do a normal like turn style compost where I put like my food scraps.
It gets hot.
And yeah. So you got to make sure that you're kind of dealing with that. And I'll put like some grass in there. And when you do, here's the thing about doing too much grass and not adding that carbon or that brown, is it turns to mud, water, and it goes anaerobic. Okay, so that's why you at that ratio of browns if you have too much green. But
So
the
besides
reason
dry leaves, what can I use as brown?
you can use like
Sticks.
cardboard, you can try to use paper, you can use sticks and stuff. They're going to take a little bit longer to break down. If you use cardboard or paper, try to like shred it up if you can.
It's a good way for you to get rid of these sticks from your garden inside, is just to sit there and cut them all up into smaller pieces, you know, like 5 to 6 inches.
Yeah.
And also let your fan leaves just dry out. Once they dry out, they're kind of considered that carbon source.
Yep.
So, and that's the other, you can let your grass dry out. You know, if you got your grass, let it dry out in place for a day or two and then rake it up. Now it's your carbon source, or half carbon.
Yeah.
It's already your ratio, you know.
That makes sense. I read Teeming with Microbes, but like in a day on vacation. So like,
it's such heavy reading though, man.
Yeah.
It's not like retention friendly.
No, but it was like we went to Myrtle Beach and it was super cold, so I just sat in the balcony wrapped in blankets reading it.
I've tried to read it like 9 times, and I can get like so far, and then I'm like, Jeff, you're killing me.
Yeah, it's hard.
Now that it's wintertime, I'm gonna try to bust through the series. We'll see. I bought the books last year, like right at the tail end of like spring, and
I have a lot of cannabis.
just got busy.
Mine are older ones and shit too, but I have a lot of digital library things, so I can share with anybody if they want.
That's awesome, man. I love books too, like audiobooks, and I got into audiobooks a couple years ago. I enjoy reading, and I enjoy like fiction and fantasy and stuff like that. But in my like 20s, I really got out of it, and I really enjoy like now that I have the option to like hit these audiobooks digitally. It's kind of a cool thing. So it's pretty.
I read a lot in the Army, believe it or not.
Did you?
Like boring ass guard duty and shit like that. You're like, I'm gonna take a book. Oh well.
In my career, I had to read so much that I like didn't want to for a long time after that.
Yeah.
But
I've got like a shit ton. I tell people, if I'm really honest about it, whether it's like schooling or teaching other people or like doing apprenticeships and everything else, that I've got like 26 years of education, like either like in class or teaching people and shit like that. So I think of how many books I've read, and I can't. The thing that I like though is with phones and everything else now, and you know, the modern age, I feel like people read more now than they ever have. People don't realize how oblivious you would be if you couldn't read.
Yeah.
Like you can watch TMZ and shit like that, I suppose, but like people just constantly fucking read all day long.
So if this meeting ends, it's because my laptop is not plugged in at the moment.
I gotta go do my fucking gardening, so I gotta go work in my flowers.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I gotta go.
Yep, let's all bounce. So if I end this meeting, it should all just save to the Zoom thing, and I'll be good.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right. Later on, everybody. Have a great night.
Oh. I hate goodbyes.
Lloyd.
Just go.
Damn button. Push the goddamn button.
You heard what she said.